Unconscious affective reactions to masked happy versus angry faces influence consumption behavior and judgments of value. In this experiment, the authors addressed 3 questions of basic unconsciously triggered affective reactions. 1. Can a consequential behavior toward a hedonic, pleasant, or unpleasant stimulus be influenced? 2. How do basic affective reactions interact with motivation? And 3. Can affective reactions influence behavior without being accessible to conscious awareness? The questions they addressed were consistent with the incentive motivational theory. They based their hypothesis on the idea that basic affective reactions can be unconscious and interact with incentive motivation to influence the assessment of value and behavior toward balanced objects. According to this theory, people are pulled toward behaviors that offer positive incentives and pushed away from behaviors that are associated with negative incentives. Social psychologist Robert states that basic affective reactions may involve minimal processing and be elicited by subliminal stimuli. Other researchers have found that to elicit basic affective reactions, researchers often employ subliminal presentations of emotional facial expressions. They investigated these properties by testing the influence of subliminally presented happy versus angry faces on pouring and consumption of a beverage, perception of a beverage value, and reports of conscious feelings. Hypothesis. The experimenters predicted that exposure to happy impressions should temporarily increase the incentive value of a beverage and facilitate consumption, whereas exposure to angry expressions should temporarily decrease the incentive value of the beverage and suppress consumption. Study 1. The experimenters explored how presenting subliminal happy versus angry faces influenced the pouring and consumption of a fruit-flavored drink beverage. Participants. There were 39 undergraduates that participated in this experiment. 14 were men and 25 were women. The participants received their instructions via computer and recorded their ratings on an anonymous questionnaire. In the gender classification task, participants had to report the gender of easily visible neutral faces. Each trial started with a forward mask followed by a subliminal prime, which was immediately replaced by a backward mask. Participants received an opaque glass containing 600 milliliters of a beverage, water, sugar, lemon-lime flavored Kool-Aid powder. Participants poured as much of the beverage as they wanted into a 250 milliliter cup and consumed as much as they wanted. Unknown to the participants, the amount poured and consumed were recorded using an electronic scale. After participants were asked, "How delicious is this drink? How much would you like to drink right now? How well did it satisfy your thirst? And how much would you pay for a can of this drink?" Data was analyzed using linear regressions with balanced phase responses and baseline phase responses. Balanced phase responses consisted of pouring, drinking, mood, and arousal. Baseline phase responses consisted of priming condition and thirst level. The coding for the linear regression analysis assumed equal intervals between angry and neutral and between neutral and happy conditions. Study 1. First regression block. Participants poured 56.21 milliliters in the neutral baseline phase. Participants poured 53.92 milliliters in the balanced test phase. Basically, participants who poured more during the baseline phase also poured more during the balanced phase. Second regression block. Interactions between thirst and pouring. Pouring increased as a function of priming, going up 21 milliliters between angry, neutral, and happy primes. Basically, thirsty participants poured 114% more of the beverage after happy primes than after angry primes. Moderately thirsty participants poured 32% more of the beverage after happy than angry primes. Essentially, thirsty participants poured more than twice the amount of the beverage after happy primes than angry primes, but priming did not influence pouring of non-thirsty participants. Amount consumed. In the baseline phase, participants drank 48% of what they poured, and in the balanced phase, participants drank 50% of what they poured. Participants who drank more before priming also drank more after priming. At high level of thirst, priming caused an increase in drinking, going up 17 milliliters from angry to neutral and happy primes. At mean level of thirst, prime did not significantly increase drinking, and at low level of thirst, priming also did not influence drinking. Feelings. Analysis revealed that participants who reported more positive mood in the baseline phase also reported more positive mood in the balanced phase. Participants who reported more arousal in the baseline phase also reported more arousal in the balanced phase. Beverage ratings during the baseline phase. After correlating the ratings of the beverages during the baseline phase with their initial level of thirst, the thirst correlated positively with ratings of the beverage's deliciousness and its thirst-quenching ability. Beverage ratings during the balanced phase. After pouring and consuming the beverage and rating subjective experience, participants rated the beverage. Analysis revealed no main effect of priming and no interaction effect of priming and thirst on beverage ratings. Study 2. Subliminal affective priming should more clearly influence perception of beverage value. Beverage sampling. Consumption was restricted by offering participants only 40 milliliter beverage in an 80 milliliter cup. Participants took a single sip and then answered questions. Same questions as Study 1, but instead of asking how well did it satisfy your thirst, in Study 2, it was asked, how sweet is this drink? Participants were asked to rate their willingness to pay for a hypothetical can of beverage on a scale ranging from 10 cents to $1. Participants were willing to pay 31 cents. To make up for the errors found in Study 1, they tested whether the effects differed between participants who rated the drink immediately after priming and participants who first completed the intervening mood questionnaire. A multivariate analysis of variance assessed the effects of independent variable prime with happy versus angry and order beverage rating first versus mood rating first. Participants who rated the beverage first were willing to pay 37 cents after happy primes and 19 cents after angry primes. Participants who rated mood first priming had no influence on willingness to pay. Basically, affective priming nearly doubled the drink's monetary value, but this effect was short-lived and only occurred when participants responded immediately after priming. In this chart, first they analyzed a subset of positive items on the left like interested, excited, strong. Second, they analyzed a subset of negative items on the right like distressed, upset, guilty. Third, they analyzed a global mood index created by subtracting negative items from the positive items. Finally, they analyzed the priming effect on each of the 20 mood scale items. In this chart, means and standard errors for measures of consumption behavior like pouring and drinking and subjective experience like mood and arousal among thirsty participants was shown. These studies do confirm the initial predictions that subliminal facial expressions would alter consumptions and their influences would depend on relevant motivational state. Non-thirsty participants' pouring and drinking did not change after subliminal priming. Previous studies explored immediate impressions of visual patterns presented for only 1 or 2 seconds. In contrast, this experiment allowed participants to pour and consume as much and for as long as they wanted before giving ratings, which resulted in a greater delay between subliminal priming and target rating. We found that the strongest priming effect required high thirst, which, as stated previously, those who were not thirsty had little to no effect after priming. Both studies suggest that subliminal affective primes can influence consumption behavior and ratings of targets' value without simultaneously influencing conscious feelings. In Study 1, affective primes altered thirsty participants' pouring and drinking. In Study 2, affective primes altered thirsty participants' immediate rating of willingness to pay and their wanting for more drink. Thank you.